think we'll resume. I believe the gentleman's okay, thank God. So I was talking about the schedule on Saturday. Got the parade at 10 o'clock. Our festivities are outside at the town square, not in here, so just so make a note of that for all day tomorrow. And like I said, our keynote speaker is Dr. Ron Paul, which is amazing that he accepted our invitation. So let's give him a warm welcome when he comes. And the band that we have playing that afternoon is called Union Gray Band. The gentleman, the founder, is Scott Union. And I found out he grew up in Fraser and used to come to Grand Lake during the summer, so it's going to kind of be a reunion for him, I guess. We have our merchandise. Please see the ladies over there. We have a silent auction. We have the merchandise. Please, sign up for some of the silent auction items. Buy some material. We do all this through donations. And we thank you for all the donations that you do. We couldn't do this without your support, so thank you very much. And then support these ladies over here. For the silent auction, where it's some of the restaurants, if you put down what the maximum is, say it's for restaurants, $50 gift certificate, if you put the $50 down, it's yours. So it's not going to go and continue to be a bidding war, so keep that in mind. And then I'd like to thank all of our volunteers for putting this on. And then for the parade tomorrow, if somebody wants to be in the parade representing Constitution Week, come see me afterwards. We still want to get some more volunteers to be in the parade. So see me, it'd be great if we could get some more people. I think we want to get a truck and then put some people in the back. I hand out pocket constitutions. I go down the road. My wife's not here. She would cover one side. I'd cover the other. So if somebody wants to hand out pocket constitutions, we go down the parade route. You wouldn't believe how many people are excited to get a constitution, see the parade, and be part of this. Tonight we have Norm Steen. Norm is the director for Boys State, the American Legion Boys State in Colorado. And I'm sure he'll get into it a little bit more, explain what Boys State is. But we're honored to have him here. And he has brought one of the students, Dominic, is that right? Yes, sir. One of the Boys State students out of Colorado. And those two will be talking. Bear with me here. So Norm Steen is the state director of the American Legion Colorado Boys State Program and a member of the American Legion's Boys Nation staff, which are youth programs of the American Legion for civics education of high school juniors at the state and national level. So trying to reach the youth, they're doing a great job. Norm served as an Army combat arms officer for more than 32 years. Retiring at the rank of Brigadier General in 2010. As a logistics planner, he assisted with the redeployment of more than 16,000 soldiers and their equipment from Operation Desert Storm from the Middle East in 1991. While serving as a National Guard officer for most of his military career, he founded and led a civilian commercial logistics services company for nearly 20 years. In 2012, Norm sold his business and ran for public office, was elected county commissioner for Teller County, Colorado, and was reelected in 2016. We need good people in government. Thank you. He has testified before the Colorado legislature numerous times on constitutional and public policy matters, and once before a U.S. congressional committee. In 2021, Norm served as the district director for a U.S. congressman leading constituent services outreach. Norm has a Bachelor of Science in Economics, a Master's in Public Administration, and a Master's in Military Studies. He's a 2016 graduate of the Leadership Program of the Rockies. Sorry, 2015 was the best year ever as a graduate student. It's this weird competition we all do, but it's a great program. So he graduated in 2016. He currently volunteers at his local church, American Legion Post Junior Achievement, and is currently president of the UPass Kiwanis Club. He's been married to his wife, Dr. Cheryl Steen, for 46 years. And they have 3 grown children and 6 grandchildren and reside in Woodland Park, Colorado, and they are moving to Loveland, Colorado. Norm's current focus in life is to work on the handoff, to prepare the next generation of young people for life's important issues, including living out United States constitutional values and principles. Please welcome Norm Steen.
Thank you. What an amazing program. Constitution Week is something that every military veteran takes the oath to support and defend the Constitution. And if you are here, you are among those ranks. If you are supporting this event, you are among the people. Join the ranks of supporting and defending our Constitution. So join an amazing history of people across the country who have supported this wonderful, our history as a God-founded nation, and continue to make a difference in the world. So thank you for your commitment to this, to the Constitution, for being here tonight. I really expected a lot more kids to be here tonight. I think it's Youth Appreciation Day, but anybody here under the age of 18? Oh, awesome, yeah, got a couple. Right. Yeah, born in a leap year? All right. So I've got some remarks, I've got some a little bit of history, but also, as we get into this, I'd like to open it up for conversation, for discussion, for a little Q&A. Mark gave me a little bit of my background. My history is in military. I spent 32 years in combat arms. Most of it, if you're a bit of an Army nerd, M60A3, M1, M1A1, M1A2 tank. So I was a combat guy. So my era came in 1978. Signed on the dotted line, joined ROTC in 1974. As you know, Vietnam ended in 1975, so we weren't quite sure where we were going as a country. But I said, if I'm going to go to Vietnam, I want to know what I'm doing. So please train me rather than just throw me in a bucket of people and send me off on an airplane someplace. So I joined the military thinking that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this right. I love my country, and Vietnam was kind of a mess for other reasons. But any Vietnam veterans here, by the way? Thank you for your service. So post-Vietnam, and then Cold War, stationed in Europe. So I wasn't there when the wall came down, but I and about, 600,000 of my best friends caused it to come down. I think when George Bush said, Mr. Gorbachev, Ronald Reagan, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. So that was in 1989. I made a trip back. My wife and I, we thought we were going to have some romantic cruise up the Danube River, and it wasn't a beautiful cruise, but a purpose, for that purpose, was to talk to the people who had lived behind the Iron Curtain. You would not believe what patriots, what lovers of liberty they are, who have experienced communism, who have experienced socialism. And for those who have not, people in the military who have seen communism, seen socialism, we know why this Constitution is so important. It is a defender against some awful things that happened to humanity. So my wars were against the Soviet Army. I've been in East Berlin. I've seen the terror things there. I've never been to China, but I have traveled to the far southeast. And I tell you, there's nothing better than American freedom, especially when you've been to some place and you come back and you just want to say, hallelujah, I'm back home. That's the heritage that we want to support and defend. So most of these things that my background has been in youth education. As you're leading soldiers, you're really equipping them to be men. A lot of Americans send their sons and daughters coming into the military as children. The United States Army, the Marines, the Army, Navy, Pat's here, right? I'm going to say Navy, right? They come out men and women because they understand they're much bigger things than simply what's the dinner that night. They understand the big issues of life. And that's probably how we could define a mature man or woman who understands the biggest issues of life and puts self second. I've also served, as mentioned, as an elected official. I was elected as a county commissioner for Teller County. It's a small county, about the size of Grand County. And maybe we can talk about tonight how you can be involved in government. A lot of things happen in counties that people just don't realize. So if you've not been to Hot Sulphur Springs to a county commissioner's meeting, maybe you ought to do that. Maybe you should do that. You wouldn't believe what grief your county commissioners put up with trying to protect this beautiful county. You'd kind of be shocked sometimes. So I mentioned we're working on a handoff, making sure that these young people, and thank you for bringing 2 fine young men tonight. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 12.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm Camden.
You're 12, okay.
I'm Beckham and I'm 11.
Okay, 11 and 12. Any other young people? Because someday, none of us is going to make it off this world alive, right? Those guys are the next generation. So thank you for making sure that they're ready. We're going to talk tonight about some of the things you can do to be ready, even whether you're 11 and 12 years old, or whether you just want to exercise your God-given rights as a U.S. citizen to make a difference right where you are. Earlier today, I asked for a show of hands, and I'll do it again. Raise your hand, please, if you are a United States citizen. Yes. And I'd love to see the young hands go up too, because absolutely you are. If you have traveled overseas, you know what a privilege that is. If you carry a blue passport, the United States of America on it, it makes a difference. If you have been stranded someplace and you need help, and you are a United States citizen, you carry special rights and privileges. I mentioned part of my military career was in Iraq. I didn't first deploy, but we trained lots of people in Iraq and Afghanistan. 4 of my friends died protecting U.S. citizens in Iraq. That's how important it is. We, the military, will protect American citizens worldwide because you are an American citizen. That matters to your country. It matters to the people in authority there, and it just pains me when we don't take proper care of evacuation over citizens in hostile areas. Okay, so why should we care about the United States Constitution? Obviously you do. I'm kind of talking to the choir here tonight, but really, why is it important? If we don't support and defend the Constitution, so what? Let me just ask that question to the crowd generally. Why are you here tonight? Why is this important? Yes, sir. I'm going to run back to the mic.
The most important thing about the Constitution to me is it attempts to protect us from a monarch, a dictator, or communist. And that's the number one thing.
Hi, my name is Carlos. Staunch First Amendment advocate and Second Amendment advocate, and the Second Amendment doesn't exist anywhere else. Neither does the First Amendment, and the Second Amendment backs up our First Amendment. So that's why it's important to me.
Because unlike constitutions from other countries, and I did live in other countries for 16 years outside of the United States, the power is placed with the people, not in the government. And the power is in the people with which to restrain a government. And that is not the same in other countries. They all have constitutions, but not like ours.
I think it was George Washington says anointed his force, and the Constitution chains down the government. That's right.
Class of LPR 2021.
LPR 2016, correct.
Our country is set apart because our founding fathers were courageous, had fortitude. We have religious freedoms like no other countries as well. And those pilgrims that set up Plymouth Rock paid a dear price. So God bless them.
We talked about helping this continue on, and I was going to say that a lot of other people paid a much higher price than you did to be here tonight to defend and support the Constitution. So you indeed have joined those ranks, but it does not come without a price, certainly. So how is it, let me just take a little diverse to our younger people. How is it that, ask the question to our younger people. Can I ask, why are you here, young man? Why is the Constitution important to you? Can I put you on the spot? Go ahead.
I think the Constitution is important because it gives us freedom that a lot of people don't have.
That's right. Why you thought it was important to bring your sons here today? Can I ask?
We're a homeschooling family, so we're learning about the Constitution anyways, but then also just the political climate has taken a large turn, I feel, in my generation, so I want to make sure they're prepared for what we're leaving them.
Something else here? No? Okay. Well, so let me ask. I mean, everybody in the room here has children or grandchildren, right? And this is something you value. It's obviously very close to your heart. But think about the role that you have taken to bring your child an awareness of their appreciation of the rights given by God and protected by the Constitution. As we talk about tonight, I really think about in your own mind what you could be doing Monday, next week, next month, to bring your own children who are not here tonight, maybe living in another part of the country, in appreciation for what rights they have been granted. There's lots of materials out. The program was there earlier today. So let me just encourage you. Like I said, I got 6 grandkids, and priorities change when you realize that you make a difference in a young person's life. I've often said my oldest daughter is a teacher. Teachers affect eternity because they're affecting the generation that affects a generation that affects a generation. And we, as we know, we as parents have the ultimate responsibility. We are the ultimate educators. Yes, the Department of Education gives us a hand. Yes, public school teachers and charter school teachers give us a hand, but we as parents have the primary responsibility for educating our children. I hope we could agree on that point. Yeah. Okay. So some of the many privileges that we enjoy here, of course, are First Amendment rights, and we are assembling here peaceably, I would say, right? You ever agree we're assembling peaceably here? Yeah. For now. Imagine if somebody came in the back room with a firearm and said, "Okay, before you leave here, I want your name, address, social security number, and right? Could that happen?" Yes. Could. You're not leaving here until I get your home address. And oh, by the way, your cars have all been impounded because could that happen in America? Well, not maybe yet today, but that's kinds of things that could happen. So yes, the right to peaceful assembly, we are exercising one of our God-given First Amendment rights right here. Let me ask, who do you think is in your sphere of influence? When you speak, who listens? Who are you influenced by? Who cares when you speak? Who is that? Some people it's a very wide circle, other people maybe just you're ignored. But my guess is that there are probably among what do you think, maybe 60, 70 people here? Sphere of thousands of people are in your sphere of influence. How many are on your Facebook page? How many like it? Yeah, how many? Oh, I don't know.
I think 20-some, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
1,200 mutual Facebook friends.
Yeah, I don't have a big following.
Oh, okay. Do you think you're an influencer? I mean, that's a term I think in Facebook, isn't it? An influencer?
Yes.
But that's just a contrived term. The fact that you care about your Constitution, about your American citizenship, means you're an influencer beyond simply how many Facebook friends you have. So, as you talk about influencing your children and your grandchildren, also, I would just ask yourself, who else do I influence? You don't. This is not pressure. This is not nobody coercion, but your opinion matters. So I would encourage you to recognize your place as a U.S. citizen and the influence you do have. You have influence with peers. Some of them younger than you, maybe and older than you. Even our young kiddos, our young 11, 12-year-olds have influence. As I mentioned, I used to be a county commissioner, and one of the most powerful speakers that come in before our Board of County Commissioners was a 12-year-old, talking about reading, something he had written, and his teacher saw this is something important. And it got it a place in the agenda and presented an opinion of a 12-year-old about the parks in the county. I guess we kind of missed that one. Well, all of a sudden, this 12-year-old became, we were just in the formation of the budget, $35 million budget, and all of a sudden we grew progress because we had a young citizen who voiced his view and had a real influence. In Colorado, the Constitution of Colorado defines that full control of the curriculum in schools is controlled by the local school board, not by the National Education Association, not by the Department of Education, not even by the state legislature. They may direct certain things, but the local school board has authority. And who does the local school board work for? Who do they report to? They don't report to the governor or the mayor, they report to you. They do. You elect them. I think the school board. One of the things about our federalist system of government is that every level reports directly to you, the voter. Yes, the state government reports to you, but counties do not report to, county commissioners do not report to the governor. They report to you. The local city or town, they do not report to the county. They report to you. Every level of government reports to you, the voter. There is no chain of command in government. That is totally unique. So the President of the United States, whoever it is, reports directly to you. He doesn't report to the Congress. Yes, he has to follow laws, but even those legislators report to you, we the people. That is totally unique and sometimes shocking to people that the county commissioners do not listen to the governor. They don't have to. They don't report to Governor Polis. They report to you. You put them in office, you can remove them from office. So in a real sense, we as citizens have profound power straight into the heart of all levels of government directly. Now we can say whether elections, we're always looking about transparency and in government elections and so on, and it's another thing that many people are working on, but there's some challenges there, I would say, but you have a voice. Other places you can have a voice are in other people you associate with. Like I mentioned, I work at the local Kiwanis group. It's a nonprofit, it's a global organization. And that Kiwanis group has a lot of, every Wednesday morning we meet with 30, 40 people. We talk about not political matters, but what matters to us is our children, our schools, and so on. So I would encourage you to look at those avenues as well. How many people are involved with scouting, for example? Have been involved with scouting in the past? Yes. A few? Yeah. Great program. It's changed over the years. I was a young scoutmaster. My son Joseph was an Eagle Scout many years ago. He's now got 3 kids of his own, but looking back, there was influence of what values are. Okay, so let me just kind of run down some ideas for other things you can do to prepare to be a better, more engaged United States citizen. Take classes. Understand your government. A lot of people don't understand how the caucus system works in Colorado. Don't understand, yes, we have 3 branches of government, how was a bill introduced? If you had an idea how something would be changed in the state of Colorado, how would you go about it? You should understand that process. I'm not going to call anybody, but raise your hand if you know who your state representative is. Okay, that's a pretty good showing. Actually, most people do not. But this audience is obviously a different audience. How about your member of Congress? Who's your member of Congress? Okay, a little more visibility, right? There's been some changes there. I've actually met Lauren Boebert. She's an amazing young person. When I worked for Doug Lamborn as his director, our communications director went to high school with Lauren. They were high school buddies. And Lauren is a real person. I think she was, I know. It was just funny to see these two girls go off into girl talk. You know, it was a little hilarious, but it was just how real these people really are, and they're just doing a very, very hard job for us. So take classes, understand how your government works, and Mark, there are probably other resources that you could point to people here. I don't have any details here locally, but hopefully you could talk about it at some point. And I would, this is the point to the younger kids here, that learning is not just good grades. You probably know that. Learning is understanding. And if you understand something with a B, it's better than not understanding with an A. Understand how things work. Ask good questions. And 3 of my kids are homeschooled too, so congratulations. I know it's a hard road, but man, is it worth it. Right? Read a newspaper. I mean, I don't know. I just love the whole paper when I read paper. I lay it out on the table and I circle things and I cut out articles, and I don't know where this digital stuff is going. I just can't read a digital newspaper. So read a newspaper, right? Anybody not? Right? Read an article, and I just pick headlines out, but and then write letters to the editor. If you haven't written a letter to the editor lately, I would write 4 or 5 of them, throw them away, until you get the one you really want to send in. But write a letter to the editor. I want a regular practice of it, and then tell everybody, said, that's a keeper. That one's going in. I would do that just as a matter of, it'll make you not only more aware, more engaged, but you could be a person of real influence. You probably would not be surprised how many people that you influence don't even know it. I thought I have a lot more students here tonight, and I would say that we got Dominic here is a high school senior this year, and how many high school juniors and sophomores look up to the senior class, right? You don't realize how many people are taking notice of the way you talk, who your friends are. So we are influences beyond probably even what we expect. So in that view, you should always set the example for being a leader of good principle, good moral character, and stand up for the values that are yours. You're in a classroom and you hear something that doesn't sound right. I don't know if we are close to CRT here in any Western Slope, or we are? Are we? We are?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We have it in our schools.
Can your kids recognize it? Okay, so a little bit of equipping there to do.
They're good at disguising it.
Okay, yes, it does not. It'll never carry that title,
Right.
because it's a loaded
They
title.
talk about things like racial lenses.
Yes. Yeah. So teaching our kids to recognize error, recognize bias, and equip them to send them to say, Mrs. Jones, I've got a question. Did you mean to say this? Many times in the military, you give what you think is a logical order, and that young private says, "Sir, did you just tell me to do that? That's not what I meant. If that's what I said, I didn't mean that." So sometimes the polite way to say, Mrs. Jones, is that what you meant? And if she can restate it in a different way, then she'll recognize the error. And I found that sometimes pointed attacks, because we're all just people, aren't we? We all like to be respected, no matter how insane our point is. We still like to be treated with respect. So the approach on respect is always more productive than something that's mean-pointed, mean-spirited. And we can be right. What is that phrase? You can be right without being mean, or something to that effect. Maybe, right? Okay. There are lots of positions in the government that are not elected that need your help. Lots of them. I would guess there's probably 10 open jobs right now. They're not paid, but there are policy-making positions. If you're on the recreation board, for example, setting the policy for what are the hours of the parks in town. Do you know there's probably volunteers that are writing that policy that are unpaid? You probably don't know who they are. But they affect your lives of the children every day because they're setting the policy being adopted by the City Planning Commission, by the town, and then eventually by the town management. So you should be seeking out, I would say, to various levels of government, the town level, the county level even. In my county, we had about, I think, 18 different boards, all of them were led by citizen volunteers. Whether you can build your house within a setback is a decision called the Board of Review. Every county has a Board of Review. Those are civilian or citizen led boards. So I would search for those. So and that's another way you can exercise your free speech, but also policy in city and local government. Attend a town planning commission meeting. Do you know when they meet? Your town meets and they decide who can build a house and where. You should at least go to those, attend those, understand the process. That is part of your exercising your voice as a citizen. Attend a county commissioner meeting. You know what time they are? They're on Tuesday mornings rather. Hot Sulphur Springs, 8:30 a.m. Tuesday mornings. You should go. Do you know who your county commissioners are? Yes, awesome. I'd love to hear it. They work very hard. One of our challenges was when I was a commissioner, we'd have some really challenging issues, and we have by law in Colorado you have a public comment period. You have to open it up, you accept public comment, then no one would show. Okay, two things I conclude. One is they 100% trust us for everything that they do, right? That's one conclusion. Probably not true. The second possibility is that even if I speak, they won't listen to me. Probably more true. I don't know. Or they got other things they don't care. Now, one of those things probably has to be true about why they're not broader citizen participation in public matters, important matters. So another point here, so as I'm kind of going down the list, attend a public comment period. You can either attend in person, even send in written comments. And I would say if you make public comment, sometimes someone will hand you, as you're heading into the room, a Xerox copy of a form that says, hey, commissioners, we think you should take this view. And they hand out 35 pieces of the exact same paper, sign this, and then go take a seat. Well, now you've got, okay, commissioners, you've got 35 people who all believe this. And they hand them 35 pieces of Xerox paper with a signature on it. Now, you probably believe that, but I can tell you that it makes much more weight if you know, John, if you walk in and say, I'm John, I live here, this is my viewpoint, I think why this ought to be, you ought to consider something else. Make a personal comment because, once again, they want commissioners have a very hard job, and they want to make sure that they're hearing your heart, not just what someone else told you to sign. So just another tip. Write a letter to your state representative. They have a phone mail. You can go to the Colorado legislative website, and every phone number, every email from every legislator is there. They have a helper, usually a very low-paid aide, who reads that stuff, calls it out, and hands it to the legislator. But you should make a point of commenting, contacting your state legislature. Even better yet, go to Denver. I know that's like, don't make me. But you should. The legislature is open for 110 days. It starts the first week of January and ends about early May. Mornings is when the committees meet, generally at 9 a.m. Committees, and you can follow the exact what bill is up, the language of it, what time they meet, and you can reserve a time to speak. They will call on you. They will give you 3 minutes to make your case, and you'll be on recorded live and broadcast over the state network as you make your point before a Senate committee. Those committees meet, they meet in the afternoons, generally starting at 1 o'clock. Morning sessions, general session, normally but the committees meet almost every afternoon starting at 1 o'clock, and they can go till they're done. When there's a really hot issue, they can go really quite late. But if you sign up to speak, you will have a chance to speak. If it's 100 people or 500 people, you will have a chance to speak. So make a point, track legislation, and then travel to Denver. Now you can also let them speak online. Then you'll be one of the talking heads on the screen, and the legislators could be playing on their phone or whatever they're doing while you're on the little Zoom screen, right? Not as effective. So I would encourage you to make the trip, sadly, go with a couple of friends, tour the Capitol, meet other people in the legislature, because they work directly for you. No one can remove them but you. I wrote a letter to the member of Congress. I mentioned I was a director for Doug Lamborn. Every state member of Congress has 2 offices. One in the state Capitol building in Washington, not in the state Capitol building, but in the House of Representatives building, and they have a full legislative staff. That's where the legislature is written. All the legislative work with other members of Congress happens in D.C. But every member of Congress also has a district office. That office has a full-time staff. That's the director's job is to make sure that you, the people, have access to that member of Congress, and that member of Congress hears what you say. If you respond online to that member of Congress website, that actually is going to DC. It's being collated along with everything else and then being bundled together for the member of Congress to read. But if you stop in, you can make an appointment to meet with your member of Congress personally in his district office during his district week. Now, we think our members of Congress work in Washington. Yes, they do. Only about 2.5 weeks a month. The other week and a half, they're here. They're in their district, meeting with constituents. They're applying for they're handling military academy applications. They're meeting on major issues. But you can schedule time with them, and I would call the district office directly. Let's say, I'm such and such. I'd like to meet with Councilmember Lauren Boebert. This is my issue. I appreciate 10 minutes of your time. Be respectful, and my guess is you'll get time. Short of that member of Congress hearing you, don't be afraid to meet with a member of staff. Members of Congress are really busy people. I mean, as our nation gets bigger, the size of Congress has not changed. We still have 435 members of Congress. Each member of Congress now represents about 820,000 people for one person. Whew. Think about if you had 825,000 bosses.
Wasn't it supposed to be like 30,000?
There was a day.
Yeah.
There was a day. But as we've gotten bigger, we have not changed the number of representatives, right? Until we change the number of states. So the size of each district has grown. That's why, the 3rd Congressional District is what? Like half the state of Colorado, right? Well, we have about 6 million people in the state of Colorado. 64 counties. 10 of those counties make up about 80% of the state by population. There's, I think, 3 congressional districts in the Denver metro. Yes. So understand the challenge that members of Congress have to make. That's a lot of geography to cover. For them to get out here and for a member of Congress to stand here would be really asking a lot. So make the trip to go see them if you could. Attend a political rally. I'm not talking politics here. I'm a member of the American Legion. We're an apolitical organization. We do take policy and make the difference between partisanship and politics. You can make your view known as a matter of policy without being partisan. And I think, regardless if your member of Congress is not of your party, or if you're Julie McCluskey, I think, is the Speaker of the House, the Democratic Speaker of the House. She's your state representative. Now, my guess, as I've heard, is that Grand County is a pretty conservative county, but the fact is that your state district is grouped along with Boulder County. That's by law the intent to balance, right? That's their objective, was to balance every district so it could go either way, to give people true voice, not have any 20% disenfranchised by even a smaller portion. So to make your voice known, Attend a county political central committee meeting, regardless of committee, regardless of party. Starting a Young Republicans, Young Democrats Club to, again, organize your thoughts. Those are being started all over the state. Okay. Okay, a couple things that are specific. Let me just stop. Anybody have questions or comments about what we talked about? Yes, sir.
Norm, I'd like to make a
Sure.
comment. Sure. I'd like to make a comment to both of you, responding to several things you've said, and
Sure.
I want to talk to the audience because I have a personal, real live example right here in Grand County of how one person in this county made a difference. So I'll tell a brief story here in a couple of minutes. I am active with several organizations here, and I was moderating an event where we had one county commissioner here at the event, and we had a lady come in, an elderly lady, and she announced during the question and answer period that she no longer felt safe on the streets of Granby. Anybody here from Granby? One? Only one? Okay. Sorry, okay. So anyway, we got into a discussion about her concern, and it was mainly about at night, not during the day, but she did not want to come to Granby anymore, to the town, because she did not feel safe there. The county commissioner was there. We had a long discussion about this. The county commissioner took the information back to the county commissioners, and they talked about it. And there's a couple things I have to say. You can call them political, but I've got to explain why this is going on. Colorado is a sanctuary state. Denver is a sanctuary city. Because Colorado right now is a sanctuary state, all the counties are sanctuary counties unless they opt out. I'd be curious about Teller County. Grand County, based on what we heard from this one lady at a meeting with the county commissioners, they got together and they decided that, why are we not safe here in Grand County? And the issue was illegals coming into this state, coming into this county to find work. Many of them are fine, they're trying to find work, and they're mean to do no harm. But we have a percentage of people that are coming in who can cause trouble. And that's what we're concerned about. When you're a sanctuary county or a sanctuary state, the police are restricted in what they can do. And they cannot turn over offenders or criminals to ICE, for example. I'm not an expert on the law, but that's generally what it's about. So our county commissioners got together with the police, this county sheriff. They talked about all of this. And after a week or two of deliberation, the county commissioners decided that Grand County would opt out and no longer be considered a sanctuary county. How many of you here in this room are aware? Put your hand up if you're aware that we've been opted out. Thank you. Two, okay. So anyway, the way we opted out was to, the county commissioners drafted a resolution that was sent to the legislature. Now, a resolution is not a law.
Nope.
But it does state a position of the county, coming from the 3 county commissioners and signed, going to the legislature and getting to the governor. It does state a matter of fact. And so I don't know exactly what the results have been, but one result is that our sheriff now feels that he has, at least he's empowered more than he was before, and he can do certain things, like, I don't know the details, but he can do certain things with arrests and taking care of criminals that he couldn't before. So here's an example, one person talking to a county commissioner. This is how you can get involved. It worked. We went through the whole process. The whole process took less than 30 days. And we have now opted out as a county.
Yes. Here's a great example. Yeah, so I'm not talking about being, activists and throwing stuff and, that kind of stuff, being violent. But that's not who we are. But you can be an active, engaged, communicating citizen, defending your rights that are granted and protected by the Constitution. That can be done respectfully, can be done purposefully, can be done even in large groups and work by organization. That's what the protection of the Constitution, rights of assembly are. So yes, there are great ways to get amazing, and I've heard stories like that, so thank you so much for sharing. We're running a little over 6 o'clock here. I know we're heading to the evening hour here. How long, Mark, where you just left here? How long should we like it to go? Okay. Well, let me change gears a little bit. I was introduced as the director of the American Legion Boys State Program. Let me just tell you a bit about that program. It's been around since 1937. It is a national youth program of the American Legion. About 2 million members in the United States, in Europe, Canada. American Legion members wearing this hat. Mr. Dwayne Daly is your local county veteran service officer. If you don't know Dwayne, you should. Great American. So the American Legion, believing strongly in the values of the Constitution, believe that we have a responsibility to pass that understanding of our Constitution Republic off to our next generation. So in 1937, a small group of, I think, 3 men in Illinois recognized, think about 1937, what was happening. Hitler was consolidating his military and the culture behind a very radical, socialist ideology. There was a youth corps being developed by the Soviet, not the Soviet or the Nazi youth corps. Boys Nation. Wait.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's not attached.
Okay. Okay. So the Boys State was a response, as an American response to prepare our youth to defend themselves against a similar darker side of the Nazi youth corps in Europe. What started in 1937, Colorado picked up in 1947. So we've been conducting this program nationwide. It's now done in every state of the union except Hawaii. Don't let me ask me why. Plus the District of Columbia. So 50 boys state programs are now conducted. We educate around 10,000 high school juniors every year about the values of our American Constitution, how American government works. And real briefly, in Colorado, we conduct this program at no cost to the boys and their families. It's done through the generous support of the American Legion Posts and a very generous donation from the Daniels Fund. Yes, that's the Daniels Scholar Program. We also support the girls. There's a similar girls' state program. Boys show up on Sunday. They simply apply. They have to receive the endorsement of the local post. On Sunday, they are meeting everybody for the very first time, boys from all over the state. And by Sunday night, they have been close to electing a mayor. By Monday, they have electing a county government. They're solving county problems. By Tuesday, they have a legislature parties being formed, the Federalists and Nationalists, not R's and D's, because we have to understand the process. By Thursday, we have a fully functioning state government with a governor and a cabinet, a Supreme Court, a legislature, and an executive branch. They submit legislation, they debate that on principle, and that goes through Saturday morning where we get to send people home, and their lives are changed. We call this a week that'll change a lifetime. Additionally, 2 positions that we, in addition to those state governments, we also elect U.S. senators. 2 boys in Boys State are, in Colorado at least, they run for office as United States senators. They are elected by their peers, then we send them to Washington, D.C. for a week at our expense, and they participate in the National Boys Nation program. I want to show you some videos. I've got a couple lined up, and maybe you could warm up the projector here. I want to show you a little bit from the inside what Boys State is. Again, this program, if you know, this is only for high school juniors. They must be in their junior year, but they could be preparing for that now. attend their junior year, because they must have at least one semester of a senior remaining. Our Boys State program is conducted at Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, Colorado. We rent a college campus for a week, and I tell you, young men eat a lot. High school juniors. This year we had 144 applications. Other things we graded, so more than 100 boys completed the program this year. In a moment here, I'm going to introduce one of our graduates. I'm going to show you the video first. Then I'm going to invite Dominic up and let him tell you personally his personal experience about Boys State and Boys Nation. So, let's see if I can get, okay, I might need a little help here.
It's just thinking.
Oh, it's waking up.
Yeah.
No, we're good here. Well, tell you what, while that's where we are, let me introduce Dominic. Dominic Doguet is from high school senior at Regis Liberty High School in Arapahoe, Colorado. He drove all the way from Denver. Oh, thank you. Drove all the way from Denver today, and I want to thank his mother Heather for making that trip with him. Tell us about your view of Boys State, and we'll show you what to call.
Firstly, I want to say thank you to Mr. Steen for inviting me here tonight. I think it's a great opportunity, and it shows that I made an impact on him, at least, if not other people, and I think it's an honor to be here today. So as Mr. Steen said, my name is Dominic Doguet, and I attend Regis Jesuit High School. I'm in my senior year, and I'm looking to apply to the service academies and to pursue a career in service for my country. Thank you. So the way I found out about Boys Nation was through a Amazon Prime special. It was the Texas Boys State. So it was roughly 1,000 kids gathered together at the Texas State Capitol, and I saw that entire event, and they had interviews during this week-long program, and I really gravitated towards it and thought it would be a great opportunity to experience myself. And so then I looked into pursuing the Colorado Boys State. So at the beginning of this program, I was a little apprehensive because I was dropped off with a bunch of guys I didn't know. And I mean, once you got there, things started to move pretty quickly. So just trying to get accustomed to how fast this program is moving and how many things we were learning, and as fast as we were learning them. But I think as soon as we started to get together into our different cities, I think there were roughly 10 different cities. I was in Hanratty City, just a bunch of made up cities. But I think that the guys I was with, it allowed me to kind of open up and to really connect. And once we began running for positions, everything got competitive, and guys wanted to become a mayor, and then the county commissioner, and then people started running for governor. So things they escalated real quickly. So I think some of the things that I gained from Boys State, so it forced me to get out of my comfort zone, to be more willing to get into an environment and to speak in front of people I didn't know. And I think this is just a unique opportunity that most kids my age don't get. So I think Boys State offering that opportunity to kind of give your opinion and to try to gain support to run for specific positions. Another aspect that I enjoyed about Boys State and that I think was very beneficial was learning about different civic duties. As some people know, in high school at least, there's not really a lot of required civic classes. So if you don't attend a program or investigate it yourself, you're not really gonna really know that much about how your government functions. So I think Boise State was a great opportunity for me to better understand how my government functions, so I could be a more productive citizen, a more engaged citizen, and to know the direction my country is going in. And as I progressed over the week, I learned that there was an opportunity to go to Washington D.C. for Boys Nation. And based off of my experience from how Boise State was going, I thought it would be a great opportunity to continue that for another week in DC. So I began to think about how I was going to start campaigning for that. And through that process, I kind of learned that when you're campaigning, you're building relationships. And that's probably the biggest aspect of politics. You're building relationships with your peers, you're building relationships with other people, trying to find out what they need, what they want, and you're gonna represent that. So I think that's a very important thing to remember when you are thinking about politics, is you're representing a group of people that you've built relationships with. And so as I continued throughout the program, by the fourth day, I think I had given maybe 10 speeches, and there was a city town hall night where I would go to each of the 10 cities, and I would be in there for 12 minutes, and they could ask me whatever they wanted to, and I would have to come up with an answer that would satisfy them and kind of persuade them or gain support for them to vote for me. And through that process, I learned how to express my beliefs and my views in a better way. And I think that really led to me being elected for a U.S. senator to represent Colorado. And once I arrived in Washington, D.C., things moved quickly again. My flight had gotten delayed 3 hours, so I showed up a little bit late. All the guys are already talking to each other, trying to see who's gonna run for president and all that kind of stuff. So I was approaching it in a different way. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm gonna try to run for president as a lot of these other guys were thinking, I started to think about how I could build those relationships and really soak up all the opportunities we'd get throughout this week. So over the course of this week, we had the opportunity to visit the White House and go to the South Lawn, where I think there were over 100 collegiate teams who were joined together, who had won their respective sport the year previously.
Yeah,
So
that was the championship recognition at the White House. Doge was there.
Yes, sir.
17 NCAA champions on the lawn with our Boys Nation.
Yes, sir. So that experience in and of itself made the entire thing worthwhile. But on top of that, we got to have a private tour of the United States Capitol after hours, and we got to go to the Speaker of the House's private balcony. So I think that was, again, another great opportunity that Boys Nation offered. And during the day, outside of the time we were traveling, we would have Senate sessions. So we'd have committee meetings where we would bring our bills that we wrote ourselves and propose them to the committees to try to gain support to bring it to the Senate floor to be debated. So I think those debates taught me more about how policies function, because a lot of these guys here, a lot of the guys at the Boys Nation program knew a lot about what they were doing, because again, they were 2 senators selected from their respective state that had hundreds of boys running for these specific spots. So I think being around a bunch of people who knew a lot about politics, a lot about how the government functioned, was also another learning experience for myself. And I think the Senate session and the elections we held for the vice president, the president, the secretary, the parliamentarian, all these things just gave me insight into how the federal government works and how the national government works. Another unique experience was the ability to visit the Pentagon for a tour. That was also a really cool experience because it's kind of hard to get in that building. It's super secure. So that was a unique experience that not a lot of people get, and I was very, very grateful that I had that opportunity. Another thing that really stayed with me was that when we were at Boise State, there was a presentation about Teddy Roosevelt, and there's this famous quote by him, and it's the idea of actually being in the arena. So I think this arena quote means that as a citizen, you need to be engaged in your own government, whether the people you're voting for win, whether they lose. The idea of knowing that you're a citizen, you have rights, you have responsibilities, and actually being engaged is part of your civic responsibility. So I think that's something Boise State really ingrained in me, and I think that's something I'll continue to bring with me throughout the rest of my life. And again, Mr. Steen mentioned the quote that it's a week that shapes a lifetime, and I really believe that. I think it gives young boys and young girls, the separate program, the Girls State and Girls Nation program, I think it gives us an opportunity to learn about our civic duties in an environment where we can try and we can fail, and we can get better and learn from those failures, and be able to gain the ability to speak our own beliefs, our own opinions, so that we can project our voice and really take advantage of the rights we've been given as United States citizens. So because of these two programs, Boise State and Boise Nation, I've kind of been more directed in that political, I've been directed towards like a more political journey. I enrolled in a AP US government class this year, and I think the background that Boise State and Boise Nation gave me has helped me to begin to excel in this class. We've been having debates about federalism versus anti-federalism, and because I better understand how the national government works, I can have a better, more informed opinion when we get into these discussions. And to you two, especially because you guys can actually attend this program, I highly recommend that you guys look into the Boise State program once you guys are going into the summer after your junior year, because I think it really does make an impact. It's a great opportunity. As Mr. Steen mentioned, it's all paid for by the American Legion. They so graciously donate the funds for that, and I really appreciate that. And I think they're taking time out of their day. It's a volunteer organization to really educate youth and make sure that the country is better than when they left it. And I think that's a really important idea. And these two programs do a great job of making sure that we know our civic responsibilities and are ready for the future. So, thank you.
This is one of the great programs that Legion and other great organizations put on. But let me tell you, there's a reason why we invite juniors. Why do you think that is? Because they go back to school as seniors. They now have an experience to share. They understand how state government works. They are now the role models for the entire senior class for what government looks like, what it should look like. We always tell them, don't model the government you see, model the government you want to have. Right? That's what we teach. Let me just show you quickly these two videos. They're a couple minutes long each, and give you a little perspective. And I will also invite, if you have any juniors, all they need to go to our website. I'll give you the website. We're at CO Legion Boys State. COLegionboysstate.org. All you need to do is apply, get the endorsement of the local post 88 in Grand or here, or any other Legion post across the state. We will accept any boy, regardless of whether you can pay or not, to attend this program at no charge. And then we're building Great Americans Home. This is in Sterling, Colorado. It's a good news in Arborist. It's President College. Right away. The boys are in white shirts. The red shirts you see are junior counselors. These are past graduates of Boys State. They are the counselors right alongside the boys, sharing their own experience and helping them guide along the way. Sometimes they go off the rails, and we have them there. We do. We have Governor, Attorney General, who's elected Attorney General. Popular, landslide victory. 3 hours later, they wanted to call him. Guess what? Votes matter. This is the general session. Recognition throughout the week for achievements. This is debates. These are 2 candidates from each party. They take tests. They have to understand their constitution and test it. They make public speeches to the large group as they're running for office. And these guys didn't know each other 4 days ago. So, this is a town hall for a person running for office and is talking to each of the cities in Boise State and make it appeal to their questions. We have control validate. That's the governor's office. Now all that scribble work is stuff they're working on of their own design. So they're elected officials, either the boys who were elected. This is our governor, Jacob Connolly. This was actually John, not this year, this was last year, 2023, isn't it? One of our U.S. senators from last year, which she came back as a junior counselor. Some guys like Dominic knows very well from day one, but I tell you, we had boys who came in very, very, very shy. Didn't want to say a word. Once you stick with them behind the microphone and give them permission, they bloom. It was amazing how many boys changed from one type of young man who was withdrawn into a person who presented his values. They came from home. He had values. But communicating and articulating them in front of a large group of boys and his peers those were really good things that changed life. Then we have some fun. We actually had talent shows. This is not your talent show. We had stand-up comedy.
Nice.
I know if it gets a little sound, there is some sound. We had a guy demonstrate, he was a firefighter, volunteer firefighter. He demonstrated his talent was fighting fires. Yeah. And we had more comedy. The guy right there is our deputy director, Kurt Skinner. He was 130 on Teddy Roosevelt. One of the boys challenged him to trivia quiz. And it was a fair fight for about 3 minutes. We also teach U.S. etiquette, flag etiquette. They do a flag ceremony every morning. They teach them proper handling of the flag, respect for glory, teach them the history of the colors. This is not a military organization. We do not train military, but in order to it's a good order. We move as a unit, as a city. They raise the colors respectfully, as any American citizen should do. And respect for their nation. We open every meeting with an invocation. We have a chapel. We are for God and country. Recognizing the founding was given by our Creator. Our rights are given to us by our Creator. We're not a faith-based organization. We're not a political organization, but you don't have to be American. That's who we are as Americans. To the next one, Lori. All right, let me get a review into Boys Nation. This is this year's Boys Nation in Washington, D.C. You can ignore that. My IT guy was having a little fun with me. All right. You'll recognize this young man here in these. This is conducted at Marymount College in Arlington, Virginia, actually just across the river from the nation's capital. Again, 2 boys from every state. These are boys from all flew in. The reason we had flight delays because remember we had that one technology shutdown. That was day 1 of Boys Nation.
Wow.
We had boys from Alaska. It took him 27 hours to get from Anchorage. He was stuck in more airports. He finally got. So the registered boys that been left there is our national director, Corey Brooks of Oklahoma. These boys don't know each other from anybody, but they quickly became friends. We, of course, they have room to open up an ice cream social. The boys like ice cream. And this was just mixture. This is the Bill Trust and just with the boys to recognize, just to share a little about the person, and just be kind of be acquainted outside of the political process. We really started off as kind of some icebreakers, having a little fun. This young man speaking there is a congressional aide to a Congress member. He's actually on staff. This is our first general session sitting as United States Senate of Boys Nation. We take the oath of office. There's two of Colorado boys, Owen and Connor. That young man in the blue sweatshirt there had just got off the plane. He'd been on the plane for 22 hours. He walked right into the Senate. The setting isn't real formal here, but this isn't a gymnasium. It's a space that we can afford, frankly. This is one of the committee meetings of the United States Senate. Boys addressing these are by function like any other committee would do. And we should recognize this scene. We're on the west end of the National Mall. The National Monument, Washington Monument, right smack in the center. Behind that, of course, if you're familiar with Washington, D.C., one end of the National Mall is the Lincoln Memorial. In the middle is the Washington Monument, and the far end of the National Mall is the United States Capitol. This is in the World War II Memorial, completed about 10 years ago. And of course, you recognize this as the Vietnam Memorial. Most people don't see it. They see it in the yards today. They'll see it as recognize that it's the highest level. If you've been there, the Vietnam Memorial descends down into the ground. You start at ground level and go down. So the tallest portion, it's now about 9 feet over your head. All of us Legionnaires sharing our experiences. There's Dominic. And then we divide into two political parties, the Federalists and Nationalists, not R's and D's, they're notional parties. There is a little sound here. Is it possible you can get that sound off the thing? This is at Fort McHenry, the briefing room. And what's interesting is that after the presentation, the screen goes up, and then you see the bay. You're seated looking at an image of the flag, and then the flag goes up and you see the flag. That is about a 40-foot flag flying over similar size that flew on the day that Francis Scott Key wrote the Star Spangled Banner. The flag at McHenry. That little flag, you see how big it is compared to the real one. The real one's very big.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We also met that gentleman in the red cap is the national commander of the American Legion. He just stepped out of his office. He is an ordained pastor, commander of the American Legion. Everyone's telling their stories about what it meant to serve. And the ladies there, the American Legion Auxiliary, or could have been also veterans, of course. The gentleman to the left is a 3-star general. He is the commandant of the United States Army Military Academy, West Point. We had one young, very Georgia. He was about under 2 feet tall. He was his size. And he was elected by the state of Georgia to represent Georgia at Boys Nation. This is the entrance to the White House. Those are original paintings that were recognized. That's the East Room. Many presentations have been made there. That's the sign that you see on when you interview from the news. We actually had the Marine Band, and that's the South Lawn. All those other people you see around there are the national NCAA champions. Men's and women's teams from across the country being recognized by the Vice President of the United States. You'll see her in a moment. There she is. That was her first presentation after Joe Biden stepped down. Announcing the ballot. United States Supreme Court. Inside the Supreme Court. There was a kind of this is the main hall. Inside, and speaking of the organization was a clerk of the Supreme Court. We didn't get to the end. We thought that Antonin Scalia was going to make it out, but he did not. He had something else. This is on the steps of the Supreme Court. The Pentagon. We presented a wreath at the Pentagon at the site of the impact of third flight. That's what the memorial was. A scope one individual memorial for every person who passed away. We're actually standing at the podium for the Pentagon briefing site. And those strong soldiers were guides through the Pentagon, making sure we attended a social event, the Twilight Tattoo, presented by the 3rd Regiment. Third Infantry Regiment reenact. They are the soldiers at Arlington Cemetery, and they're also represent the military philosophy. Of course, you recognize that in Regima. One of our missionaries was give a first-hand account of he was it was an emotional time for him. People asked him follow-up questions. He couldn't make it through answering, so I'm not going to answer that. This is on the speaker's balcony. This is inside the Capitol, looking straight up into the balcony. This is a member of Congress giving a personal tour after hours. Every state has 2 statuaries. So Colorado has, the state of Colorado statue is in the Capitol. It's our astronaut, Spiker. Yep. Well, they have personal discussion. Sanders. That's the back. So on the back side, the outside, not facing the wall. Members of Congress are not working in the Capitol. Their offices are in other office buildings. 2 for the Senate, 2 for the House, 3 for the House. then we will actually present it at the team of the end. We were joined by Girls Nation here, and we did a joint presentation. And that is the president of Boys Nation and the president of Girls Nation making a presentation at Arlington Cemetery Chamber. And then we had some free time just to walk through the cemetery itself. A lot of our Boys Nation guys were identifying people that they knew, finding the gravestones. That's our one of our comparative loan formations, Barrymount Castle, and of course flag service there as well. Just a few more minutes here, folks. I hope you just bear with me here. I hope you enjoy this. Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. It kind of goes on, but we'll leave it at that. Let me just open up discussions, questions. I know it's getting late in the evening here, but any other questions or comments you got for Dominic or Orange? Yes, yes, sir.
Is this program open for homeschool kids?
It absolutely is. We're having a real challenge connecting with the homeschool community. If you could help us with that, we'd love it.